Here this evening to talk about the work. The work is, when I came 3 years ago, I promised economic development, I promised affordable housing, I promised education, I promised jobs and training. So tonight, I'm not here to debate, I'm here to tell you the promises was kept.
To your right, the only man on the panel tonight, Mr. Jabril Ali. Thank you. My name is Jabril Ali, and I'm running for District 5 City Commissioner. Tonight, I want to make sure we get down to brass tacks and talk about exactly how we're going to move this community forward. We can talk about promises, but let's talk about what the prosperity and promise is for tomorrow. So tonight, I want each and every one of us to listen very clearly and very carefully about how each person plans to champion this community. And by the end of tonight, hopefully I can show you how we're going to do this day one. Thank you for that opportunity.
I'm so glad that you all are here tonight to take an active part in your community's growth and development. I'm glad to be a resident and a product of District 5, and I'm so very thankful to have this opportunity to express my plan and my vision for what District 5 could become. District 5 has the potential to be the premier district in the city of Orlando, but beyond that, it has the potential to be a premier location for the entire country to pay attention to. So I look forward to building that legacy with you. Good evening.
I want to let you know that I'm here for you. I'm going to go to bat for you like no one else ever has. I'm not here for a job. I'm not here to make a name for myself. I'm not here to put on a crown, and I'm not here to continue someone else's legacy. I'm here for you because you are Orlando to me. Orlando needs District 5. And District 5 needs to take the power that we know is here and use it for all of us. I'm here, my name is Sarah Al-Badri, and I'm here because as an urban planner, I know there is knowledge, skills, and experience I can lend to how we as District 5 determine our future.
My promises aren't empty promises. I am not a politician, nor am I seeking a title. I'm trying to continue the work that has been started. When you drove in, you saw directly across the street affordable housing going up under my leadership, which will house 140 families. Now, if you go straight down the road to Orange Center, under my leadership, we have invested over $2 million with the partnership of LIFT, where we will have mixed income families. Now, if you go on down the street to Paramore, there are over 17 homes that's getting ready to be erected. Now, if you go over to Ivy Lane, over 57 homes have been built. There has been over $2 million that has been poured in that project under my leadership. When you talk about Lake Leonard-Dune, I have just came up with $5 million to make Lake Leonard-Dune the Lake Eola of the West Side. When we talk about entertainment, there has been a newly renovated Camp World Stadium. There has now become a soccer stadium. We have now had over 40 small businesses created right there in the Paramore area. I will continue to talk about the work. I will continue to tell you there's promises kept. Why should I be commissioner? Because I get the job done. And
Jabril, you look like you have a comment to say to that. What do you say to the commissioner's claims? And also, I'll ask you a follow-up question. You have 30 seconds.
Mike's right. Well, let me say this. 4 years ago, as the president of my neighborhood association, the commissioner, before no one knew who Regina Hill was, sat down in front of us, the neighborhoods of Spring Lake, and the promises that she talked about, she was on record to say that she was going to support Tinkerfield and not destroy it. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? She was the deciding vote, 4-3, in its demolishment. So when we talk about promises kept, let's talk about the record and let's be transparent about it. She mentioned the 57 homes on Ivy Lane. That was due to Mabel Butler and her vision.
You got 15 more seconds, then we'll let the commissioner respond.
Furthermore, the homes that are in Paramore she's mentioning about, that was pathways to Paramore that Buddy Dyer installed 15 years ago. You cannot get credit for turning in someone else's assignment.
But when we talk about empty promises. 15 years ago, he said that was a project. He talked about our beloved legend, Miss Mabel Butler, has been out of office 20 years. And I got it done this year. There are some that start the race, but there takes another to finish it.
I'm gonna get to the other candidates in just a moment, but Jabril, I had a question for you as well, and you're gonna get a minute and a half to answer. You came down very hard on the commissioner just now. Excuse me, everybody, I'm gonna need your attention so the candidates can hear the questions. Please lower your voices. Thank you. I'm going to get every other person on the stage in a moment to get into this as well. But Jabril, you came down very hard on the commissioner. You were a neighborhood leader, but what track record do you have of truly getting into the streets and helping the people of District 5?
You know, I'm very excited to answer that question. Very excited to answer that question. First of all, I invested in this community by being a homeowner in this community. I'm raising my family in this community. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3 children. As president of the neighborhood, you want to talk about results. We won Neighborhood Watch Group of the Year by the Orlando Police Department because I understand that the most important investment that anybody can make is in their community. And I want to champion the community. So the track record of leadership has been done in my community. Bringing innovative
Opportunities to our community. With One Community, One Orlando, we provided 150 opportunities to young black males. This is my own leadership. This isn't carrying anyone else's place, anyone else's bag. As a precinct committee man, District 602, that's the precinct that I am over. We've had the highest turnout over the last few years. I have been in the paint every time this community has needed someone. So if you want to talk about my track record, listen, I've been the commissioner probably before Commissioner Hill.
We'll come back to you, Ms. Hill. I promise you that we will, but we need to get other candidates involved. Don't worry, I will give you plenty of time to come back, I promise. Ms. Erica Dunlap, we want to bring you into the discussion. On your website, you have a section called Priorities. Now, under that, it only says that you want to have a positive change in the community, but does not break down exactly what you want to do, doesn't list out your priorities, or give voters exactly what you stand for. If elected, what would you fight for?
The reason why it does not is primarily because it's important for us to be listening to the community. So in doing a positive assessment of the community, I've been going to neighborhoods for several months, and not just for the sake of the campaign, but throughout my entire life, I've been taking up this information and figuring out exactly how we can best serve these communities based on where they are right now. And so my plan is to definitely focus on educational development, and not just in the terms of educating our children, but certainly in the terms of educating the adults who need better job skills and job training in order to get what they need to get. We need to focus on our felons. If we do not focus on the felony population and make sure that they have the job training skills in order to get the jobs that we need to bring to District 5, then it's pointless for us to just bring jobs here where people from outside of District 5 are going to take advantage of it. We also need to think about the economic development of District 5. I would love to know exactly whether or not the Amazon bid is going to be coming to District 5. It's not. It's probably going to be going to District 1. But Amazon has 50,000 jobs available, 50,000 jobs that apparently are going to be 50,000 plus in annual salary. So when you think about that, that should be coming to our areas. I'm also concerned about the environment. And we have to take care of our natural resources. If we don't start making plans for the next Irma, we're going to have a real problem when the next one comes. We live in Florida. The possibility of storms is obvious. It's going to happen to us.
Okay, we're running out of time on that question, Ms. Dunlap. I want to do a quick follow-up with you. Obviously, you mentioned the Amazon jobs, and a lot of those jobs will be paying $100,000 plus as well. Clearly, we want that in District 5, but tell me this. Does the workforce exist in District 5 right now? And truly, how do you plan on transforming that workforce to be able to take those types of high-tech jobs?
The workforce is here. It's a matter of us making sure that they have the training in order to obtain the jobs. So yes, the people are absolutely skilled enough and smart enough, but we have to make sure that they're certified so that we can get them to those positions. And then we also have to have a positive reputation for Amazon to even want to play in our backyards. So it's important for me to be it's important for me to be a positive representation, and that's what I've done. So the question has been asked before, where have you been for the past 15 years? Well, for the past 35 years, I've been setting a good example for District 5 so that we can continue positive press and have some good work. Orlando continues to get press about being a murder capital, and we need to stop that. A lot of that happens in District 5, and we need to make sure that that doesn't
Okay,
happen
Ms.
anymore.
Dunlap, thank you. Ms. El-Badri, we need to follow up with you. Because she was talking about those jobs and getting those jobs here. She brought up Amazon. On your website, you're pushing for high wage paying jobs in District 5. What industries will you push for, and do you have the workforce in the district to fulfill those positions? The same question that I asked Ms. Dunlap.
One of the greatest challenges in Orlando is the fact that we focus on economic development, we talk about job growth, but all of those much of that job growth happens in low-wage jobs. And we wonder why we can't afford our housing. We wonder why we can't get to where we need to be. It's because we can't afford it. When people are getting paid $10 an hour and working 40 hours a week, how the heck are you paying at the end of the month all the things you need to do between childcare, your utilities, groceries, and all those things? We need to focus on living wage jobs and attracting companies that make sense for our district, make sense for our Orlando, and the talent pipeline that we're building up. Yes, in the future, through UCF Downtown and Valencia College and all of these talent pipelines and educational pipelines, we can get to attracting an Amazon into our area. And I think we need to play a bigger part in how we get those bids and how we work through those things. There are so many people having conversations about what's going to happen in District 5 that aren't part of District 5, that haven't talked to anybody in District 5. They're just making stuff up and saying, let's land it there, let's put it there because there's space and the land is cheap. We need a bigger voice, and we need to make sure that we're part of that conversation. At City Hall, at Metro Plan Orlando, at the Economic Development Partnership, all of those parts, all of those things. So I think we can get to that point, but we really need to focus on what's happening right now, what's on the ground today, and work towards a better future where people are getting paid a living wage and higher paid jobs.
I have a follow-up to that as well, because one of the major issues also in District 5 is travel and people being able to get to and from work. And that's not something that's new. It's been years in the making, obviously. But on your website, you tout that you brought the bike sharing, or one of the people that helped bring bike sharing to the city of Orlando. But if you look at the bike sharing sites, there are only about 2 locations which are west of I-4, which is in the heart of District 5. What would you do to bring more of what you brought to Orlando to more of your district? I mean, there's only 2 bike sharing utilities, and it's closer towards the Amway. How much significance is it really playing in this district?
Sure, I'm gonna be very transparent about that. Orlando is one of the few cities that's not paying to that Juice Bike Share program. That is completely privately funded, and when that happens, when we privately fund things or when we privatize anything, business interests play a part. Government needs to play a part in our transportation system. We need to make sure it's equitable across the board. So for me, beyond bike share, the whole point of bike share was to underline the fact that our bike share infrastructure, or our bike infrastructure, the way that people get around this city is poor. We need to invest more into it. And as a government, as an elected official, I want to make sure our bus system, first of all, has a dedicated budget so it services more people. So you can get to school, so you can get to work. So you're not wondering, oh, where is that bus? An hour, oh, I missed it, I need to wait another hour for it. We basically need to invest better into our transportation infrastructure. We need to make it more equitable, and as a government, we need to promise and dedicate that to our people.
Okay, thank you, Ms. El-Badri. Just one quick housekeeping announcement. We got to make sure that we keep the commentary as small as possible in the crowd, so we can make sure that we can not only, one, hear the questions, but hear the response. We've only got about an hour's worth of time, so we really want to be able to get through all of this. Ms. Cynthia Harris, I have a hypothetical for you. Let's say $1 billion is placed into the hand of the Commissioner of District 5. $1 billion. What are the top 3 industries that you want to bring to this community, and how would you resurface the way the community looks? And she may need that microphone.
The top 3 industries that I would focus on is jobs, housing, and community development in small businesses. Small businesses are the fruit of our community. Without them, we don't thrive. I believe that an 8-year-old should have the ability to have a lemonade stand and learn how to function at 8 years old versus wait until they get out of school and get in trouble, and then we're trying to find a way to house our convicted felons. I believe that we should also have better housing. Right now, everyone is a paycheck away from being homeless. We just saw it in Hurricane Irma. We have an influx of 23,000 people who are already here from Puerto Rico, but that left us still behind the 8 ball because we are still here on 15-year, 20-year waiting list, and we haven't got housing yet, and we're right here in this community. And we also need to make sure that jobs are invited, not just have livable wage jobs, because 40% of our income goes into rent or mortgage, and that shouldn't be. We should make sure that our landlords are in check, that we have affordable housing, not just for the people who've been on waiting lists, but for people who are living in hotels and working for Disney and are homeless too. You don't know that they're homeless because of the way they have the bling bling for Disney and the fantasy. But we all are a paycheck away from being without a house, without a home, without a paycheck. We need to make sure that we are taking care of. Charity begins at home. And if we're not taking care of the people at home first, how can we take care of anybody else?
All right, Ms. Harris, thank you very much. Ms. James, I spent about 5 minutes each for searching for websites, looking over it, and I could not find a website for you. What are your constituents supposed to know about what you will do for them?
I don't have a website up because my website is not up about brand and being liked by many. It's about making sure that the effectiveness and the information is getting out what the community needs. I go to a lot of the meetings that are there downtown, and I see that when they say the community is supposed to be there, District 5, I don't see any of the citizens of District 5 there.
Wow.
When they spoke of the soccer stadium being established in that area of District 5, and that the community of that area was supposed to be there, and they were supposed to supply 400 plus jobs, none of the people of the area was in that meeting at the exchange. I do remember Miss Sarah being there with the representative for the soccer stadium, and the soccer stadium is there for a 10-year contract without even having to pay any taxes, and then that contract is done. What do we do then with Plymouth Rocks in the middle of District 5? What's going to happen then? We talk about housing. None of the housing was brought to an issue until I made an address about the property and the land that was being owned by our mayor. And then when that was addressed, that's when the statement came out when I addressed it to our Congresswoman Demings at a meeting about the property that's owned also by the mayor. Also at the same time, we have property that's also being owned by people that are already deceased and that the city comes and buy, and these properties can be used to build up housing, but yet we don't have housing for anyone. The City of Orlando Authority can build more housing. We have empty apartments on Orange Center now that needs to be rehabilitated to place people in, but yet they sit absent, and yet they say that they have asbestos, but I don't see any sign of it. If one had asbestos, all had asbestos. You eliminated people off of Mercy Drive. You told them that you were going to put them in housing. I went there myself. One who was my mother, you put on TV, a mental patient. You never placed her. She was placed outside. I placed her in a residence. But never, when I called your office to meet with you, your own secretary blocked my emails from even meeting with you, Commissioner Hill. And therefore, even with the jobs, my own twins worked for you with the summer jobs. And not one, you paid them at least $8.
We need you to finish up your statements, Ms. James. I'm sorry.
So therefore, when we talk about a website, I don't need a website to get a name. What I need is for some effectiveness to be done. We have been done like this for many years where we've been placed and told where to live and how to live. But what did you do about the gentrification?
Okay, thank you, Ms. James. Ms. Hill will give you 30 seconds to respond.
Did not come under my leadership. Hello? The displacement of Mercy Drive and Orange Center did not come underneath Commissioner Hill's leadership. But what did happen was under my leadership, I made sure that we purchased that whole portfolio, and now it is being revitalized and now affordable housing. Now see, people need to really do their research. No more than a month ago, the city of Orlando purchased the other side of Orange Center to now be revitalized. When you talk about Mercy Drive, it broke my heart also. And Mr. Lawrence Robinson was there with me when I was campaigning. We purchased that, which now Ability Housing is going to be now revitalized.
Okay, Ms. Hill, I got to wrap you up there, but the next question is for you, so don't worry. You're going to get more time to talk. This next question is going to shift towards, and we spent a lot of time talking about housing and the economic impacts on District 5, but now I want to talk about crime, law enforcement, and all things that go in between. And obviously we lost Deborah Clayton earlier this year in a terrible tragedy just a few miles away from here. She spent a lot of time in District 5 doing the groundwork of what really needs to be done. But at the same time, we've also, if you all know TJ, as most people in this room do, he has been on a crusade about police officers and the misconduct and the different statements that they have made online. How do you bring the community closer to police officers, number one, so that you continue to build the trust, Ms. Hill, but also, what do you do about crime that saw the deaths of people like Deborah Clayton?
Well, you can't have, evidently you don't know nothing about me that well, because Deborah Clayton was
I know, she
my
was your
first
bodyguard.
liaison.
Yes.
No, she wasn't my bodyguard. I don't need a bodyguard in the hood. What she was my community police officer, that we went out and did grassroots work to bridge the gap of community policing. So what will I do about that? I will continue the things that I have been doing, going throughout the nation, finding best practices, working with the National League of Cities with Black Male Achievement, making sure that young boys and men of color have opportunities and skill sets and training, making sure that I do have our law enforcement have sensitivity training, and I'm trying to make sure that they're living in our community and they're getting out of their cars. Now, how can I solve crime? I can't do it alone. I believe my good friend and sister died because the community saw something and they didn't say something. They let a guy run around this community and knew where he was and did not turn him in. So that happened there. When we start talking about Operation Ceasefire, I'm working with Sheriff Dimmons and many of the activists, Miles and Desmond Meade. What is Operation Ceasefire? It's a program that was created in Boston. We went out to Oakland, and I see my good brother, Mr. Ayala, that has been traveling with me throughout the nation to make sure that we don't condemn felons, that we give them skill sets, we give them jobs, and we give them housing so that they don't have to return back to the way of crime and violence.
I want to go to Ms. Dunlap now, because Ms. Dunlap, you served obviously as Miss America, and you've also run Amazing Race. You've been around the world. You've seen different police officers in hundreds of different situations. Tell us what you would do to bridge the gap, and what would you do about police officers who, as TJ has so eloquently pointed out, make those comments online that are derogatory towards the minority community, and also what would you do about violence in the area?
Diversity and inclusion has been my platform of choice for almost 20 years. And so it's something that I'm very connected to. Mr. TJ and I have discussed the fact that, unfortunately, one of the perpetrators that has made these remarks, his name is Sean Dunlap. He is of absolutely no relation to me. However, what I would like to do is to make sure that our police officers are engaged in our community in a way that they used to be. Being a police officer used to be an honorable occupation, and it's one that provides service and provides protection, and it should be upholding that standard, but currently we're seeing how it's not, and a lot of it is because of misuse on social media. A lot of people don't know how to use Facebook properly, and I think that's one of the things that we need to be focused on, is teaching not only sensitivity training. When you're sensitive to something, that means that you're kind of tolerating it. We need to go beyond sensitivity training. We need to get to the heart of the matter. We need to get to the heart of the issues of these people who are plain out racist, and we need to get them out of our police system, and we need to make sure that we do have increased community policing dollars and increased community policing opportunities to make sure that we have people who are from our neighborhoods who are a part of the protection of our neighborhoods.
Mr. Ali, will bring you in on this conversation as well. You already told us how that you started a group that were mentoring hundreds of young men. Is that the key to helping bridge the gap with police officers? And have you brought police officers into that group to try and bring those two groups together?
The first thing before I answer your question, Stuart, again, let's talk about results and let's talk about records. Commissioner Hill had an urban task force. What happened to that? It crumbled. She has not been there to talk about implementing any policy changes, nor has she spoken against anything that the police officers have done on record. So first of all, that's why I want to make sure that you know that you have somebody that knows how this community needs to be protected. Now, in terms of providing opportunities, absolutely. What we need to be doing, ladies and gentlemen, is guiding our young men to the opportunities that are ahead of them. My proposal is to include 50 young black males from this community. Now, I have a young man that I work with, Mr. Raymer Kelly, with the West Lakes Opportunity. I humbly would ask that he would allow me to call it the Raymer Kelly Initiative. 50 officers. His father was the first black officers in Orlando. We need to know our history and what we stood for, and I'm going to make sure that you have somebody who's going to bring people that want to champion this community. Again, results, and we're going to talk about records. So let's make sure we have it absolutely clear for this District 5 to know where I stand and everyone else stands.
Ms. Harris, when you listed your top 3 things, and before I get to Ms. Harris, I want to give Ms. Hill a chance to respond. Within 30 seconds, if you may.
Just because Jabril says something don't mean it's true. The Black Task Force is still active. Actually, it's now, we're working with Desmond Meade and all those that I stated, that we're working with Sheriff Timmons, all those people that was around the table. The work goes on. He's just not a part of it. You're just not a part of it because you did not want to be. You were invited there. So the other thing is, with jumping on me, I don't think the people came to hear about what Commissioner Hill isn't doing. They want to know what you're going to do different.
Okay, Ms. Hill, thank you. Ms. Harris, I want to bring you in on this because I gave you the opportunity to lay out your top 3 priorities. You didn't say law enforcement or the connection with the community. Where does that rank on your list of must-dos, and what would you do to help fix the problem in this area?
Law enforcement is equally important as any other topic, such as jobs, housing, and community development. However, you have to have a balance on everything. You must have housing. You must have law enforcement to complete the whole trio of what I mentioned as my top 3. You must have community policing because I am a huge proponent of community policing. We must have police officers in our neighborhood that we know who they are at all times. They know us, we need to know them. If Officer Friendly is working from 9 to 5, we need to know Officer Friendly at 9 to 5 and that he is available to us from 9 to 5. We need to make sure that if it's a midnight shift, we know that Officer Smith is there for us at any time. We need to be able to call in the non-emergency number and do a courtesy check on Mrs. Jones when something is wrong and the light is not turned on. So we need to make sure that we have community policing first, because if we're gonna say something because we see something, they need to be able to say something to us when they see something too. Keep us informed. It works both ways.
Ms. Harris, thank you. Ms. Al-Badri, you are a planner. When it comes to police departments, the brand new police department is in District 5. Do you think that that's part of the solution to bringing the community closer to the police department and to the law enforcement so that they will give information back and forth with officers and also decrease crime? Or is there another way?
The police station before it moved to OBT was in District 5. It was already there. It moved from one side of Paramore to the other side of Paramore. And I've knocked on doors in Paramore and talked to residents and talked to neighbors, and they tell me the same thing. Crime hasn't changed. It's exactly the way it was when OPD was on Huey. So it's more than that. It needs to go deeper than that. It needs to be a real conversation. What I see regarding community policing right now is a bunch of social media tactics when police officers are providing bicycles and fixing mailboxes that get run over. It needs to be so much deeper than that. We need to do better in terms of our training with our police officers. We need to do better in terms of who we recruit into our police department. We need to make sure they reflect the community that they're serving.
If everyone in the audience could please, let the candidates give their discussion. I'm sorry, Ms. Al-Badri, continue.
Sorry. And in terms of urban planning is a tool for economic development. It's a tool for us to get more affordable housing. It's a tool to make sure that we provide for the future. There's a lot of things that we need to be focusing on today that goes beyond planning.
All right, thank you very much. I want to bring you in here, Ms. Andrea James. You had a lot of concerns, and you came down hard on the commissioner during your last statements. But I want to hear what you want to do with the law enforcement, the relationship with District 5 and the city of Orlando as a whole. And if someone could please pass her a microphone that direction.
When it comes to the law enforcement in District 5, after going to one of the meetings they had where law enforcement sat with residents, most of the residents came from Eames District at the center over in Eames area. They did not address Paramore area, but when addressing them, as well as addressing them on social media about night out, they chose to select the areas that they wanted to go to. I think that when we say we want people in office that look like us, that is for us, we need to know that the hiring and recruiting department person look like us and for us, but are they doing strategic analytical recruitment? Are they making sure that they're evaluating the people that they're bringing on to the force? They just signed over the 2018 budget, 56% going towards police department and the fire station. And at the same time, are we making sure that those 15 officers, when I looked, did not look like us? So are they for us? Are we making sure that their mindset is not one of a prejudice or racial issue? I also addressed the mayor on Twitter feed about him coming out into the community. They just started coming back out into the Lake Net area, interacting with the people. I also asked them not to judge us by where we live, because where we live at, we have talented people. We have great people. Our children are not illiterate and don't have ill-biased attentions towards us, because our communities didn't get that way on its own. It got that way because we were deprived resources and we're not getting them. So therefore, when they send police officers in our area, they need to send police officers that look like us, that understands us, because they are born of the same ethnicity. Don't send someone that come from a privileged area and that is not like us to harass us or even cause police brutality, because that's not acceptable. We also need to make sure our police officers are held accountable when they commit crimes and raping our women. They need to be punished just like a citizen, because they were sworn to protect and serve.
I want to switch focus now and talk about the capital improvement projects. I went on the city's website, and right here, there are 11 different projects that are going on right now in District 5. They run from a sewer rehab project to a new fire station to a pedestrian overpass. Mr. Ali, is that enough?
Is it enough? Well, District 5, do you believe it's enough? And quite frankly, no, it's not.
Yeah, speak up.
I can speak louder if necessary. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to make sure you understand this message very clearly. There's not enough investment in west of Orange Blossom Trail. Let's make sure you hear that again. There has been $1 billion of investment, and that has been not in District 5 west of Orange Blossom Trail. As a commissioner, I'm looking at using my discretionary budget as well as the mayor's matching grant to attract businesses to this community. So is it enough? You ask the people here, is it enough? I can guarantee the people on this board will say it's not enough, and I'm pretty sure that the people out there know it's not the same. All right.
Ms. Hill, as a response, what are you doing to fight and get more and more projects to this district, and what are your top priorities to get more revitalization into the area?
The $1 billion that was spent. The $1 billion that was spent was not spent on my budget, nor on my shift. Jarrell said that I can't take credit for the accomplishments, so why should I take credit for those things that had not been done before I got in office? I don't think it's fair. And I don't think that people are here, and I'm not going to keep rebutting folk that are attacking me. I'm going to talk about this work that I have been doing the last 3 years. There has been over $50 million in the last 3 years poured in District 5 when District 5 didn't have nothing coming here for the last 10 years or greater. We know the work. You pass by, you might can beat up on Regina Hill, but you cannot dispute the work and what I've done in this district. Affordable homes are here. Education, now District 5 is an educational hub. UCF, Valencia, we have an ACE school. We have parks now that have been renovated. Over $2 million worth of renovation in every park in District 5. We have community centers with programs. And as you said, Stuart, we have 11 capital projects. That's the greatest in any district in the city of Orlando. Yes, there's a lot more work to do, and that's why I'm running, because I don't think nobody can finish this work that I've started the way I did. I worked 60 to 70 hours. It has not been easy to put 11 projects, major capital projects together. Yes, I will continue to make public safety my #1 issue, so that capital will always be public safety.
Thank you. Ms. Dunlap, what do you think about gentrification into the community, and is it a problem?
Gentrification is a major problem in our community, and that's, I think, why most of us are here, to be completely honest with you. When you look at the development that's happening from Division Street over to John Young, it seems as though all of us who live in those areas are about to be pushed out. And so it's important for us to make sure that our leadership is standing in the gap to ensure that we're not pushed out and to ensure that the people who have been there for 50, 60 years are valued. We need to bring equity to those areas, not just bringing people into those areas, but also making sure that the people who've lived there for 50, 60 years and those who have grown up there. I've only been there for 35 years, but in that time, I've decided to completely invest in my community. So we need to bring people back into the hood. We need to bring people back into our neighborhoods. We need to create cultural hubs. The education hub is fantastic, but then again, how is it really servicing our children when the surroundings of those areas are not safe enough for our children to be even walking through? When we think about in the morning times as children are going to the A school, are they going by themselves? That walking bus is not operating. I'm out there every morning. And I'm looking and I'm watching and I'm paying attention. The children of our neighborhoods deserve to have more, and they deserve to be housed in homes that are in our neighborhoods as opposed to people coming in and taking them over.
Ms. Elbadra, you are a planner, and I want to ask you a question about gentrification, number one, bringing more projects to the area, number two, but also how do you make sure that the projects that you bring in aren't just another source of gentrification?
It absolutely is. So unfortunately, the gentrification that's been happening in this district is due to a lot of rubber stamping that happens at City Hall. The way that the city works is that the mayor is the CEO of our city. There are 6 city commissioners that make decisions alongside him, but all of the staff work for him. So when city commissioners are briefed about projects, they're essentially told what the project is about and sometimes led on how they should be deciding. If you look at the projects that are happening in District 5, they have been unanimously approved. When you land a soccer stadium in the middle of Paramore Avenue, it's because your commissioner voted yes on that, right? So when we talk about economic development, when we talk about investment, when developers come in and investors come in and make these promises to us, we need to hold their feet to the fire. And for some, we've seen good partnerships. And in others, we've seen nothing come of it. So as we move forward, you need somebody that asks critical questions and holds people accountable. You can't just let developers come in and say, I have this money and I get to treat your district better than you treat your residents. That is unfair, and you are the people. You are the voice, and you need to make sure your voice is heard at City Hall, and you need to make sure you choose leadership that does that.
All right, Ms. Elbadra, thank you. Ms. James, I want to bring you back into this as well. The average monthly income for a person on Social Security disability is around $700 a month. The cost of a one-bedroom apartment in Orlando is around $900 a month. What are you going to do to increase the amount of disability-friendly, affordable housing in District 5?
One of the things that I want to address with knowing all too well about the Social Security, because one of those was something that my mother had. And being a resident, I know and all too well with those that are on that amount of Social Security disability. We don't have enough sustainable living. The state of Florida issued out that we were to build houses according to the income of what a person's income is for them. When they come down to those that are on financial assistance from the government, such as welfare or Social Security, we're supposed to have a number of housings that is there and available for them. I want to see those sustainable houses be developed. Identity is a program and an organization that is now gotten into the sustainable housings using containers, which is a webinar that I attended from the state of Florida through by the government, who asked me to look into it and see what was going on. Those are other means of ways of providing housing for those people with financial challenges. I don't want to say that they're in poverty, because we're never in poverty. We're challenged because we're not given enough of the resources that are available. If we can take these places that we're pushing down and rebuild them back up and making them affordable for those that do have that financial challenge, then we will help solve some of the poverty issues that we have with people living in hotels that are working at minimum wage and eating from hand to mouth.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. James. We technically have only 5 minutes left, but I'm going to take that to about 10 minutes left, so we're going to go to about 8:05, 8:10. At the end, of course, we're going to give all the candidates one more time to just give one more speech as well so they can wrap things up because we want to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to speak. Ms. Harris, the next question is going to be for you, and it's going to be sticking on that same theme of gentrification and affordable housing. What do you do for the community as far as actually making sure that gentrification is not a problem, but also get people a place to live? Because the homeless population is growing, and it's growing in District 5.
I have a nonprofit called Carson Cheney House, and what I do is I link people to resources into the community. For many years, over 20 plus years, I have taken homeless people out of the streets and put them in housing. I have worked with Homeless Services Network for 3 years. I was the housing program manager there, where I ran 3 counties. What we did, we had the Scattered Sites program, we had the PATH program. We dealt with chronically homeless, mentally ill population, took them off the streets, put them in housing, and we provided wraparound services so that they could maintain and sustain in the community. Gentrification is a major thing. When you hear the word urban, this is the term that they love to use in our community, urban. It's just a cute little word to say gentrification on the slick. We need to understand that when you have an elected official needs to be able to tell you on day one what's going on, not when the sheriff is standing outside with the eviction notice and waiting with the bulldozer to tear your house down. We are all a paycheck away from homelessness. I spoke of that earlier when I talked about Hurricane Irma. We have all been in situation, but the one good thing is we had unity during that time that we were facing the power outages and loss of food and all the other income that people that could not go to work because there were debris and trees down and power outages. They could not even earn a living to continue to move forward. We need to make sure that we continue to have those wraparound services for housing so that people are sustainable and maintained in the community. But we also got to make sure that we continue to identify and apply for funding, more funding, such as the Neighborhood Promise, which was founded by Obama before he left. And that brings promise into the neighborhood, not only for housing, but for education.
Okay, Ms. Harris, we got to wrap you up there. Thank you very much. Mr. Ali, I have a question for you, and it's going to be one that's going to probably surprise you and surprise the entire audience. Over the past 3 years, Ms. Regina Hill's been the Commission 5 Commissioner. What has she done that you liked?
Again, I want to make sure we talk about results and record. Let's always be clear about that. One thing that I really appreciate about Commissioner Hill, and I want to make sure the community knows, I really believe Commissioner Hill has a heart of gold and she wants to make sure this community is bright. I really believe that. She has tried everything that she can do to make sure that this community is brought to bear. But again, you have to ask yourself, District 5, do we deserve more? She ran on a record, Stuart, of transparency and accountability. So we need to be transparent and we need to be accountable about her record. I'm not here to critique Commissioner Hill. I'm here to make sure, I'm not here to attack her. She mentioned that in the last previous statement. I attacked her. I'm not here to attack her. I'm not running against Commissioner Hill nor anybody on this table. My difference, Stuart, is that I believe that leadership is not a game. I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm here to make sure that this community knows that they have a fighter that came from this community, that had a mother and a father that believed in them, that gave them an opportunity. So that's what I'm here to champion Commissioner Hill on, but she has failed in the test of leadership. And that's why we need someone else, and that's why you see representative, that other community leaders are here. Whether it's Sarah, Erica, Harris, that these people believe that what we have is inadequate. So I'm here to offer results and record. Let's run on that and that alone.
Commissioner Hill, you mentioned when you were talking about the relationship with law enforcement and the community that you invited Jabril in. You clearly thought that he was worth to bring in. So one, give me something that you like about him, but then two, you can also respond to his comments.
Well, I continuously work with Jabril Ali, even as the HOA president of Rock Lake Spring Lake. I provided funds for his community, One Orlando, to make sure that you put children to work. I've always been available, even being attacked by Mr. Ali, and answered every email. When I look at this email, Mr. Ali, I see a bright upcoming star. I just don't think it's his time. He needs to take care of his household before he
You get 30 seconds to respond, Mr. Ali. If everyone could please quiet down, I told you we had a limited amount of time.
Again, we need to be clear about this. And this is why, again, we have talked about fail the test of leadership. This isn't about attacking anybody here. We do not deserve, we are neighbors at the end of the day, Stuart. We are neighbors. Now, she talks about my household. Well, I'm a father, I'm a husband, my wife is working, I'm working. We have young children. What do you want from me, Commissioner Hill? What are you talking about specifically? Results and record. You cannot any longer throw out innuendos in this community without making sure we have a track record of that shot. So if you're going to call that shot, Ms. Commissioner Hill, let's talk about it.
Okay, Mr. Ali, thank you very much.
About it.
I want to get into just a few more questions, and then we're going to have time for final statements. And we've got a wired microphone. And Ms. Dunlap, I want to bring you into this. You have been in the public eye as Miss America, a contestant on The Amazing Race. What are some of the achievements that you truly have done in this community that you wish to serve?
Well, first of all, I'm very proud of the accomplishment of being Miss Florida and Miss America, and I just want to make it very clear that that's not something to be taken lightly. And I don't say it because I need people's approval, and I'm not saying it because I need anybody to think higher of me, but I just want that to be very clear that it's very difficult. It's very difficult to win at a game that was never designed for you, and I didn't. So when you talk about what I have done for this community specifically, beyond the reputation, which I think what we really needed to be talking about is, because this is clearly the Regina Hill, Jabril Ali show, but what we really need to be talking about, I mean, you guys have really had your moments, and I really want to talk about the fact that we have a branding issue in District 5. We need to rebrand the way that people see District 5 so that it is an inviting place, so that it is a welcoming place for economic development. So what have I done? I've helped countless organizations and community organizations and corporations to achieve their goals, whether it's through diversity initiatives that I've helped them to implement, or whether it's through fundraising efforts. As many of you have seen, those of you who are active on the social media community, I have done several empowerment events with young women, as well as women who are looking to increase their skills and become entrepreneurs. So those are a lot of the things that I've done, and I'm completely entrenched in District 5, and it's beyond District 5. I think we focus on District 5, and half of the people don't even know where that is. So when we talk about District 5, it's not just these areas. It's downtown, and it's all the way to Metro West. It's Mercy Drive. There's so much that's encompassed in District 5, so we have to look at the entirety of the district and figure out how our leadership is adequately representing the brand of where we're going.
Thank you, Ms. Dunlap. Ms. Obadri, as Ms. Dunlap eloquently pointed out, this has become the Ali and Hill show, which is not what our aim is. But what are some of the issues that you think are not being addressed, number one, in this debate, but number two, in the community, and how would you fix them?
I'm running on policy over personality, and I think what we're seeing up here is a lot of personality. And unfortunately, we're not seeing policy at City Hall that actually moves District 5 forward today and for our future. I'm focused on real affordable housing. I'm focused on a housing strategy that makes sure we can live and stay here. We get our seniors can age in place. The folks that want to move into District 5 can move into District 5. The people that live in District 5 can continue to afford to live in District 5. That there's a rehab program and funding that you can continue to live there and repair your roof and get help from the City of Orlando. I'm focused on transportation and making sure that as we grow, as we welcome thousands of people a year into Orlando, that we're not just forcing people in cars and making them spend hours in traffic rather than with their families. Focusing on a transportation plan that funds links appropriately so people can get to work, people can get to school, people can get to the places that need to be. focusing on economic development where District 5 actually has a voice and City Hall is not directing things into District 5. Making sure that we have economic opportunities that actually pay a living wage. Making sure that we decide what's happening in our district together. We are determining our future together. And you need a leader that can do that, that listens to you, that doesn't shout you down, that when citizens come to City Hall with legitimate concerns regarding development, regarding what's happening in their neighborhood, that you're actually heard, and that they can communicate that with the other commissioners and work with them, or work alongside them, and not just at City Hall, folks at the county. Where's our county commissioner? What work do we do with them? Where's our state representative? Where's our federal representative, our senators? We need to be working with all of these folks and really communicating and working on partnerships that grow District 5 for all of us.
Ms. Hill, I want to bring you back in here as the elected official in the room. Transportation is one of those things that you don't plan for tomorrow. You plan for transportation 20, 30, 40 years down the road. 20, 30, 40 years down the road, what does the transportation landscape look like in District 5?
Well, it's already started with Sunrail, to expand that Sunrail all the way to the airport, and working with Metro Plan. I have been sitting in those meetings. When we start looking at 2035, you stated something earlier, and I think Ms. Dunlap said that Google possibly will be in Lake Nona, District 1. It's because there's so much fast space to where we are going to have to expand links to where it's gonna go all the way out towards Medical City. When we start talking about the rail that goes from the airport and goes all the way out to Miami, that goes to Tampa. So forward thinking like that. What I would like to say is, Sarah threw a little shade, you know, she wanna be slick, but we haven't seen Sarah over in these parts ever until the last 6 months. You know why? She's been over to Soto, making sure that they have transportation. You mentioned that there was only 2 bikes on the east side, and that was near the Amway. She takes pride about that bike share. Why isn't there any bike share programs over here in Washington Shores, in Paramore, in Mercy Drive? Okay? We don't need a savior. We've been here helping one another. I might know Peter, I might know Paul, but we don't know you, Sarah.
And Sarah, we'll give you 30 seconds to respond. Everyone, please quiet down. We're running out of time.
I'm a young face. I'm 28 years old, and in 28 years, I've accomplished a lot. I came here and I got a master's in urban planning. When I was in grad school, I started that juice bike share business. The reason that it's not in District 5 is because it's private. It's a privatized system, and I really believe government should be working to make sure that we have equity across the board. So when the city of Orlando approved that bike share program, we should have worked together with the city to make sure it was equitable, and not just about bike share. It's about transportation. It's about all of our government systems. How do we make sure all of our residents are served? And that's the reason why I got in this race, is because I can see that this is not an equitable city. That the investment that happens unanimously, is approved by all of our city commissioners, and only happens in specific areas throughout the city of Orlando. It's time for a new voice that demands more. And that's why I'm in this race. And I appreciate this rebuttal. And I also want to mention, even if I want one more point. I'm not a Martin Luther King, but when Martin Luther King came to Birmingham, he realized that there was a problem. You don't need to be from somewhere to realize there needs to be a change.
Mr. Ali, 20, 30, 40 years from now, what's the transportation look like in District 5?
Sure, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, results and record, I want to make sure we are critical here.
Now, we're talking 30 years now, so I need a plan out of
that,
this.
Stuart, but what is concerning to me is this rhetoric that's out here, so I want to make sure we dead that talk. More specifically, let's talk about results. Well, we're going to need opportunities that expand more westward. You talk about Sunrail. Well, as a person who went to grad school at UCF, it's difficult to commute east and west. So most of the District 5 people who would potentially use Sunrail are simply not. So what we need to do is develop better transportation options. I'm proposing that City of Orlando have a dedicated funding for links for it to be more sustainable. And so that's one thing that we can do in the short term that I know I can deliver results and record. Let's talk about it.
Ms. Hill, I have a question that's going to be uncomfortable, but I think it's one that a lot of people would like to address. you called the video that was posted on YouTube cyberbullying. Can you explain that video?
No, I refuse to explain that. Next question. I do not have to.
Do you want your constituents to know anything about
I
it?
explained what it was. I was grieving, and that's it. The video, listen here. Attack the work. Don't attack me. I have harmed no one in this work. If I've gone through some pain, if I've had some highs and lows in my life, I continued to work for the people of District 5. Even when I buried my daughter, I went back to work on Monday. I have not got off the wall. I've given more to the community, even when I was hurting, than the community. As people like yourself that want to remind me of my pain, of my hurt, of my past. Hey, you tell me, find a sinner and find one perfect in him. But I can guarantee you won't find one that's more dedicated, not one more harder, not one that gives to the people, not one that goes to the trenches, not one that sit in courtroom fighting for the people. I stand with the people and I am the people.
Everyone, we want to give you some more things as well. And Ms. Hill, the reason why I brought that up is because it is a concern from a lot of people. My question before you start, what do you want to say to the bully without an entire sermon when you do it, that you claim posted the video?
I am still standing, smiling, living, and fighting for my people, because I don't even see the haters. What I see is prosperity for the people. What I see is housing for the people. What I see is jobs. And the reason I do this, because God has given me another chance. The world didn't give me this joy, and I'd be damned if they go take it away.
As I can tell from the audience, I think a lot of people have been energized by tonight's debate. It is now time for some final statements from the people that are on the panel. And we're going to begin with Ms. Andrea James. And let's make sure that we're quiet so everyone can hear Ms. Andrea James in her final statements. You're going to get 2 minutes, Ms. James.
My final statement is for District 5. We can put on a performance and we can say things that'll make hearts jump and itchy ears clap. But at the bottom line of the day, we have been going through this same process for over decades of years. All the way back from 1831, we have been told where to live, how to live, what kind of jobs we can have, and what we should do with our community. When we had Sylvester Hankins, who went off and became a doctor and came back, they made a difference for Paramore. They did not stand by and watch our community, which Mr. Paramore was a Confederate and the mayor of the city of Orlando, and was the one that built Paramore for black people. We were not ones that was living in projects. We were not ones that was on welfare. We was one that had skilled jobs and trained, and we lived in houses. How is it now that we stand back now and we get giddy and happy over social media bullying? We get happy over gossip and slander. We are so divided that we need to become united. We need to stop looking at each other and tearing each other down, but build back up what one Confederate man said we were. We were a valuable people. We are a valuable community, and we need to start acting and behaving like it. We have grandchildren and we have our children. My own daughter attends West Point coming out of District 5. So don't tell me nothing good cannot come out of Galilee. I am a product of District 5 from Washington Shores area. I watched and seen a whole lot. We have Miss America come out of. So when we let other people come in and say our community don't have no equity, you took equity away, now put it back.
Ms. Harris, why should people vote for you?
As I stated before, for too long we've had people that look like us that are not for us, and it's time to change the landscape of that. We have people that have a mask, and when I say people that look like us that are not for us, it's not a white or black issue, it's a people issue. For the people, by the people should come together and be a united front. We are all in this together. It's not about me, it's not about you. We are in this community. We live here and we're not going anywhere. I've been in this community for almost all my life, almost 50 years. And I've been working hard in this community. You're just not seeing me now because I've been behind the scenes doing my thing. You don't need a PhD to be in this seat, but you do need a compassion and a love for your community, and that's what Cynthia Harris got. Cynthia Harris has delivered 20,000 signatures to the mayor 3 weeks ago so that we can have term limits. I ain't about talking the talk, I'm about walking in the footsteps of it. I am about making sure that we have housing, that you are informed, because right now, you're not being informed by nobody. And that's why I say people that look like us are not for us. You need somebody that's going to tell you what's going on at the beginning, not at the end. As Malcolm said it, just because they invite you to the table don't mean you're going to feed you. But in the words of Shirley Chisholm, she said that if you can't come to the table, invited to the table, you bring your own chair. And I'm bringing a chair to the table, and I'm fighting in this community. I have continued to fight in this community, and Cynthia Harris is not going anywhere.
Ms. Harris, thank you. Ms. Dunlap, why should people vote for you?
So we've heard a lot of issues, some of them more personal than they are about you. The point that we need to be making tonight is how are we going to advance and move District 5 forward. That's the reason why we're all here. So why vote for me? Vote for me because I'm a product and a resident of this community. I stand for the greatness that is within District 5. I know that there is potential that is unmasked in District 5, and all we need to do is take the time to discover it. I feel like the leadership of District 5 needs to be strong, it needs to be visionary. It needs to be able to look beyond the next 4 years, but look towards the 20 and 30-year mark, because I plan on being here for that long. So it's important for us to know that our leadership is a reflection of who we are and who we say we want to be. What do we want to accomplish? What are your goals? What are your dreams? That's what your commissioner should be doing, commissioning works of art in you, in our communities, in our neighborhoods. So it's very important to me that you know that I am not going anywhere. I'm going to be here. I have been here as an advocate for public safety, as an advocate for entrepreneurship, as an advocate for diversity and inclusion. Unity is not just the color of our skin, but unity is the content of the heart. So I'm asking you today, when you go to make your selection and to cast your vote, don't think about why vote for me, but think about why vote for anybody else.
Ms. Dunlap, thank you. Commissioner, if you could please pass the mic down, we're going to let you get the last word. So the next up, I'd like to hear from Ms. Sarah El-Badri.
If we had confidence in the leadership in District 5 and at City Hall, why are some of us feeling left out? Why are some of us feeling anxious about our future? Why are some of us so worried? It's time for a change. I'm the only candidate that understands how Orlando city government works. I've been in it, I've worked alongside it, I've seen how residents are treated, especially in the face of business interests. It's time for District 5 to take back that power and make sure it works for all of us. I'm the only candidate that's really focused on policy. I'm the one that understands it and how to partner, how to make sure we bring up new ideas and focus on the future. We can determine that future. Your power is your voice. Have your voice be heard in this election. Make sure it's not just 2,100 people that are deciding who our next city commissioner is. There are almost 50,000 people that live in District 5. We are huge. Make your voice heard. November 7th is the last day to vote. Early voting starts October 30th. Absentee ballots are already out. Make sure your vote actually counts this year. I'm Sarah El-Badri. I want to make sure your voice is heard at City Hall. We can determine our future together.
Mr. Jarrell Ali.
Thank you, Frontline, and thank you, the voters. This has been a great journey for me and my family. I'm so humbled and so excited to be at a potential where I could be sitting as your next city commissioner. I could only dream when I was 30 years ago on a bike in Rock Lake, riding my bike on a Huffy, defending against would-be criminals. Now, as an adult, as a father and a husband in this community, I'm honored to be poised to be as your next city commissioner. I talked all night long I've talked all day long about results and record. We've heard a lot of rhetoric, and I appreciate the rhetoric, but yelling at people does not bring results. Yelling at people does not change policy. Yelling at people is bullying, and let's make sure we understand that. As your next city commissioner, I want to fight to be a champion. I have the results that this community is looking for. I've mentored young men. I've had excellent community service opportunities with as president of my neighborhood and with West Lakes. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I've fought the fight. I've explained to you where I am, and I need your help to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind, because I have a plan that's based on results, and we're done with the rhetoric here in 2017. Ali Boumbaye, let's win this election.
Commissioner Hill.
Good evening. 3.5 years ago, I came and asked for your support and your vote. I stated that I would make sure that I would increase the affordable housing stock in this community. Check. I stated that I would bring education here to this area. In many community centers, there's multiple programs. As you see in Paramore, it's now an educational hub. Check. Said that I would ban the box at City Hall and make sure that felons had an opportunity. Check. I stated that we would start to rehab our parks so that District 5 could have amazing green space. Check. I stated that my office would be accessed for all. 8,000 meetings later. Check. No, I'm not here to raise my voice, but I've been kicked down before I got to City Hall trying to get here. Every day since I've been here, I've been fighting, trying to make sure that the people had access and had quality stocks and jobs. Have I did my best? Possibly not, because I'm not perfect. Have I given it my all? Absolutely. I am not a politician. I am a servant of the people. This is not a job. This is my ministry. This is my ministry. Thank you for sending me, but I believe God sent me for a time such as this. For somebody that has gone through the ills and troubles of life. Someone that has been, someone that's been without, and someone that has had it all. Yes, I can identify with all in this audience at some point. The mother that has had to bury a child. The mother that possibly has some children that go wrong. The person that has been ridiculed and picked at. But I have not given up. I am still fighting, and I will stand on the wall. You can't bring me down.
Please give a round of applause to all the people that are running to represent you in District 5.